Marcena, I just wanted to check if your audio and video is everything okay, if you can hear me.
Ito na, ito na.
Hello, Marcena? Can you hear us?
Ruth?
Dear colleagues, welcome to the second meeting of the PCCB network. I'm Marzena Chodor, the co-chair of the PCCB, and I would like to welcome you on behalf of my colleagues from the Paris Committee on Capacity Building, and I would like also to invite you to participate in this meeting, which is really important because we are celebrating the first anniversary of the PCCB network. This is our second meeting, and we will be able to take stock of what we have been able to achieve in the first year of the network's existence. I would like to express my sincere appreciation, and I would like to thank everyone who supported the formation and growth of our community and were a part of this collective effort in the course of the past year. And now I would like to introduce to you my colleague in the PCCB, Ms. Roberta Janna, who is also a lead of Working Group 1. And she will be taking the role of the facilitator for today and moderate our session. I hope to have a productive and inspiring discussion, and I would like to invite Roberta to take over. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marzena, and hello, everyone. First of all, let me express our sincere appreciation and welcome to all of you. It is really a pleasure to have you all here today. We have a lot to cover today, but before we start the discussion, I will ask my colleague Riddhi Dutta, the PCCB Network Coordinator, to go over a couple of housekeeping rules to ensure our virtual discussion is smooth and effective. Riddhi, over to you.
Thank you, Roberta. And hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure to have you all here. The meeting etiquette has already been shared with the participants, and I will just quickly review a couple of important points. First, the agenda of the meeting is projected to the right of the screen. As you can see, there are specific items when the floor will be open for interventions. Interventions in this meeting will be oral via microphone. When given the floor by the moderator, please unmute yourself and speak. Please keep your intervention limited to 1 minute to make sure all interested participants have time to share their thoughts. To request the floor, please use the hand raising function. If you do not have this function, please signal the moderator by typing the word intervention in the chat window. We kindly ask everyone to use the chat function for this purpose only. If you have any additional thoughts and comments, there will be a survey at the end of this meeting where you can submit your inputs. And last but not the least, we will be using an online tool to facilitate the interactions in this meeting. It is advisable to use a phone or a separate device to connect to this platform so you can use the tool with minimum disruption to your meeting participation. So now to just test out this tool, please follow the instructions on the screen. Head to www.menti.com and enter the code 60313542. The code is up on the screen. You can see on the presentation slides. And you can submit your answer to the first question. How are you feeling today? We'd love to know how everyone is doing, how their Tuesdays are going. I repeat, the code for the Menti is 60313542. If you're having any troubles getting to Menti, you could leave any of your questions in the chat as well. And the code is also available in the chat. All right, so we see that everyone's feeling great, a lot more great than good. Okay, that's nice. Hard to describe. I hope we can change that by the end of the meeting with all the interaction that we're going through this meeting. Yeah, we hope we end at the great. All right, perfect. I see some 5% with the it's not your day-to-day. Well, I hope we can change that as well. Perfect. I think we can move on to the second question now as well, if most people have. Yeah. Okay. So the second question, please tell us where you're from, where you're tuning into this meeting from, and pin on the map the country you tuned into this meeting from. Okay, so we see 2 from Europe. We see North America, Australia, South America, East Coast. We see some India, which I'm very happy about because I'm Indian as well. Yeah, so West Coast picking up as well. Southeast Asia. We see the clusters growing in Asia. Europe is picking up. This is very representative of how diverse our network is and how it has a global reach. Europe is sort of leading right now. I think the rest of the continents need to buck up. Perfect. Let's wait for a couple more seconds to see how the spread sort of grows around. All right, now that you guys are sort of used to using this tool, we will be using this throughout the meeting. To keep this more interactive, we would love to hear from the network members about different aspects through the agenda as it's already displayed. But thank you everyone for your engagement. It is truly encouraging to see how the members of the PCCB network span the globe. Please stay connected to Menti because we will be using it, like I mentioned, throughout this meeting. Without any further ado, I will hand over to Roberta to officially commence this meeting. Roberta, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Riti. And we are now going to go through the summary of the accomplishment and the work done by the network so far. Since the launch of the PCCB network, we have been joined by 246 members from 80 countries and from a diversity of sectors and institutions such as NGOs, private sector, academia, think tanks, networks, UN agencies, and public entities. The network has grown globally with representation from different regions. The PCCB network is and will continue to be a reflection of its member great interest in capacity building to support climate action and achieving lasting impacts. Members of the PCCB network are champions of change in their context, whether you are a local NGO, a small or medium enterprise, a regional network, a governmental department, or an international entity. And the next slide. Since its creation as a constituted body under the United Nations Climate Change Convention in 2015, the Paris Committee on Capacity Building has been tasked to address current and emerging gaps and needs in implementing and further enhancing capacity building in developing countries. Activity of the PCCB network align with the PCCB's work areas, which are coherence and coordination on capacity building under and outside the convention, identifying capacity building gaps and needs in climate change related capacity building activities, awareness raising, communication and stakeholder engagement on climate change related capacity building, and cross-cutting issues in climate change related capacity building. Under the umbrella of the work areas, the PCCB network in its first year has organized activities that can be clustered as technical exchanges and peer learning, outreach, communication and networking and engagement. And the activities of the PCCB network in 2020 were mainly focused on the establishment and operationalization of the PCCB network. The timeline that you are looking at provides a brief overview of key milestones and activities that were organized. And to name a few, the inaugural meeting of the PCCB network in June, the Recover Better Together project to raise awareness, the PCCB network webinars on topics pertinent to climate-related capacity building efforts, periodic newsletters, informational and promotional materials, and the Capacity Building Stories project. The communication and engagement activities of the PCCB network in the reporting period were closely guided by the network's communication strategy. As agreed by the PCCB, activities of the network were regularly monitored and reported to the PCCB network task force. Different communication channels were used by the PCCB network, such as websites, emails, YouTube, Facebook, newsletters, e-meetings, survey, and partner channels. The PCCB network has therefore become an important channel for capacity building information generation and dissemination. Since the launch of the network, monthly internal reports were produced to monitor the performance of the network that included statistics on activities and feedback from network members. An overview of the achievement and progress made in the first year has been compiled in the PCCB network annual report that has been shared with all the network members. From the activities and achievement in the first year of the network, the importance of ensuring a member-driven trajectory for network activities has been identified. And for this purpose, we would like to now hear from all the network members. I will now give the floor to Eva to help us exploring network needs and expectations. Eva, over to you. Eva, are you there?
Oh. Thank you, Roberta.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We would now like to hear more about your needs and expectations for this network. So please, via the link shared in the chat or going on menti.com, please use the following code 6998. See the code on the screen, and that will take you to the polls that we will be exploring right now. All right. Again, you can also access the poll through the link on the chat. All right, so as you can see, the first poll is which communication channels would you like to see the network use more often? We have newsletters, web pages, social media, and emails. We're seeing right now that emails are definitely the most prominent one. So we'll definitely keep in mind your feedback when implementing future activities in the network and communicating with you. Lovely, okay. Thank you all for your responses and engagement. This is great. Okay, couple of minutes. And now if you want, we can move on to the next poll, which is on which activities would you like to see more often? Should be seeing it on the screen any minute. And the options are newsletters, technical webinars, trainings, CV stories. I've seen a lot of you responding already. The networking meetings are really high up there. All right. Great, we'd love to see all your responses, and thank you really for all your engagement. All right. Thank you all, and of course, as a network, we strive to keep you up to date with our latest activities and create opportunities for you to engage and collaborate with one another, and your answers and your feedback to me through this poll and through all other polls will facilitate the process. Also, please feel free to reach out to the PCCB network via email for any concerns or questions or comments or new ideas that you may have. And also please note that at the end of the event, we'll be sharing a post-event survey. So we would kindly ask you to please fill it out so that we may receive feedback from you and then implement your feedback and suggestions on our coming activities. That's it for me. Thank you, and over to you, Roberta.
Thank you very much, Eva. And we will now proceed with the open floor session. So in this session, we would like to hear from you, network members, and you will be all welcome to share your experiences of being associated with the network over the last year. My colleague Riddhi Dutta, the PCCB network coordinator, will be moderating this session. So Riddhi, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Roberta. The purpose of the open floor session is to foster discussions around networking and collaboration needs of the PCCB network. To kickstart the discussions, I would like to first invite Zainab Rachti from the Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection to share her experiences of being associated with the PCCB network over the last year. Zainab, if you're here, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Riddhi. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me very well?
Yes,
perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you for having me for the open floor session. The International Center Hassan II for Environmental Protection for Environmental Training is pleased to participate virtually in the PCCB second meeting. I would like first to introduce to our audience the Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection that was established in June 2001 at the initiative of His Majesty King Mohammed VI. And Her Royal Highness Princess Leila Hasna has been entrusted as the chair from the beginning. So the foundation's fundamental mission is to raise awareness and to educate to sustainable development. And in this mission, the foundation is open to the entire public, from school children and youth to political and economic decision makers. Since its creation, the foundation has been constantly investing to reinforce digital dimensions of activities through the creation of capacity building forums to the benefit of teachers who are associated to the eco schools and young reporters for the environment programs to exchange best practices, discuss barriers, and support an engaged community. But also to the benefit of pupils to connect and exchange on their learning experience, and through the creation of different online platforms. I would like also to introduce to our dear audience the Hassan II International Environmental Training Center that was inaugurated in 2019 by Her Royal Highness Princess Leila Hasna. It constitutes the academic branch of Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection and brings its 20-year track record in terms of education for sustainable development in Morocco, as well as an increased focus on the African region on the national and international cooperation. So since its inauguration, the center became an incubator of ideas and the solution for the environment with the support of all our partners and experts. Today, the Hassan II International Environmental Training Center has become one of the Foundation's flagship projects, set to reach high expectations to be at the forefront in constant renewal and adopting advanced pedagogical approaches, both in terms of content and tools for disseminating information. Its mission actually is to be the role model for environment innovation, an incubator for ideas and solutions for the environment, and most importantly, a meeting and exchange space for all stakeholders, both at national and international level. So the foundation is particularly keen on designing and implementing virtuous cycles based upon inclusive approaches, associating all relevant stakeholders with specific focus on youth and the vulnerable population as primary beneficiaries. In the last 5 years, the foundation has proactively increased its focus on climate change by updating its existing programs and activities. For instance, the climate change issues are now explicitly included in all educational activities, and also by developing new activities like the Air Climate Program as an integrated and synergetic approach to both climate change and air quality, mixing awareness and awareness for the private sector and supporting the network of monitoring stations across Morocco to support the local decision makers for enhanced climate mitigation and adaptation planning. Moreover, a proposal for a renewed portfolio of carbon offsetting projects was identified following a multidimensional and structured reflection with a special focus on thematics like energy, mobility, waste and plantation, and organic farming. These themes are adapted according to the need of the targeted public, whether it is training activities, pedagogical tool, or content. These projects are, of course, supported by the Hassan II International Center for Environmental Training, that is a space providing face-to-face meeting and online capacity building sessions for the benefit of a large community in Morocco, in Africa, and globally. There is also the African Youth Climate Hub that I want to share with you, which is an initiative that is launched by Her Royal Highness Princess Lala Hasna at the Climate Action Summit in September 2019. And this African Youth Climate Platform is taking place to respond and to amplify the voices and action of youth, starting with the African youth. This is an initiative for youth and by youth that aims to be a positive space for exchange and concrete support for young Africans, both in terms of skills and knowledge, and also in terms of entrepreneurship and job opportunities. So this initiative is piloted in Africa to deliver immediate and concrete results with a view to scale up and partner with other regions as soon as possible. The African Youth Climate Hub is a formal partnership between the Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection, UNGO, OCP Group, and University Mohammed VI Polytechnic. One last thing, in March 2021, the center launched the African Green Universities and Youth Education Network in partnership with UNEP. And in integrated vision that targets young academics and in approach based on education, training, and networking, this network serves as a knowledge and innovation hub that will support the sharing of good practices to promote the SDGs. The network also aims to promote the integration of environmental and sustainable development concerns into teaching, research, community engagement, university management, including the greening of universities, infrastructure, and different activities. Today, the network gathers 20 universities from 7 African countries: Morocco, Tunisia, Mauritania, Ivory Coast, Comoros, Senegal, and Kenya. That was a brief introduction. I hope I was brief and you had much information from our intervention. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Zainab, for sharing. Now we'd like to hear from the rest of the members of the PCCB network. I will be following a set of questions to guide this discussion. The floor is now open for all members to intervene. You can do so by using the raise hand function on the top right corner of your screen. Perfect. So we already see some hands being raised. So the first question that we'd like to ask the entire network is, what are your needs and expectations from the network to enhance collaboration opportunities? I see. I see Fabian's hand raised. And if anyone from the capacity building team could quickly write down the name of the chat to help me out in terms of who's raising their hands, that'd be really nice. Thank you very much.
Hello, really. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, colleagues. Greetings from Bonn. Really, I actually prepared also a short input on the experiences from building strong networks from the Partnership on Transparency in the Paris Agreement. I don't know whether this is the right place to do it or you want me to do that at another point.
We'll shortly get to you. Four more questions and we'll get to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Perfect. So if anyone would like to intervene right now, you could join in. I'm having some trouble just looking at the who's raised their hands. So if you, yep, hi. Yeah, could you please introduce yourself as well?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly fine. Thanks.
Yes, I am Kasum Koulibaly from the Global Institute for Women's Empowerment Group in Mali, in West Africa. I'm very happy to join the second meeting of the PCCB network. And for the collaboration, I think that there is something important about the language. I am coming from a French-speaking country, and I think that there are some network members who speak French. For me, it can be something like we need to see how French-speaking countries can develop some kind of collaboration, and to allow us to do some activities in collaboration, we need to also have documents coming from the network in French. You know, this is something important for us to sustain our collaboration activities among those countries. This is one thing. The second thing is about information sharing between the members who speak the same language. I think that this is something very important. We need to see how we can work together on that. The last thing, which is not the least, is how can we plan some common activities together as countries from the French-speaking countries, especially for those coming from Africa. This is my 3 points I want to highlight in that session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your intervention. These are very rightly said in terms of how global we are as a network. Language shouldn't be a barrier. We should be able to do something about that. And that's really valuable feedback for us to sort of plan and move forward from here. But the floor is still open if anyone else, any of the other network members would like to let us know of what their needs and expectations are in order to enhance any collaboration opportunities. You could do so by just raising your hand and I will call out your name.
Really, you have Mr. Janak, who wrote in the chat.
Perfect. Janakor, could you please, you can unmute yourself and begin. Unless you want me to read out your intervention.
Yeah,
okay.
No problem. Thank you. Yep. Hi, I'm Janak from the Malaysian Youth Delegation. So I'm not sure if this is already available, but I think a list of members, a brief description of what they do, where they're located, and their contact information would be really great. So we could determine who we could best collaborate with and who we can benefit learning from based on what we do.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. We will be sharing a collaboration opportunities document almost at the end of this meeting. So we will be talking about this soon, but this is really important as well. And we really appreciate your feedback. I see another hand raised. I can't quite see the names. So if anyone from team
my name is Ashu Gupta from India, and I'm a part of this from my company that So my suggestion to you, because now the entire world is talking about the carbon neutral. Every country is targeting for the carbon neutral. So we want to understand how we can exchange information. What are the areas they are focusing on the carbon neutral? So we should understand what actually for the fighting climate change. What are the good practices other countries are taking, and how can we involve mostly in our different as respective countries. So that kind of case studies, if some good practices are available, definitely we can follow that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ashu. That was really helpful as well. If there are no more interventions, we could move to the next question, but I would give it 10-12 seconds so people could intervene. If not, okay, I do see another hand. The floor is yours. Kazi.
From Bangladesh, I work with our NGO. It's called Friendship. We last 20 years working for adaptation, supporting climate victims. I'm actually truly happy being able to member with the PCCB because the platform itself combination of global and local partners, academia, researchers, and NGOs. So it's a very good matching, great matching. I would really wish a chances in future to share our adaptation practices so that we can exchange views, and not unlikely we can help other colleagues or members to replicate our ideas, and we can buy some new ideas, and we can exchange research. We can do some collaborative efforts. Just so truly happy from Friendship Bangladesh.
Thank you so much for your intervention. I also see Professor Mizan Khan's hand being raised. You can take the floor now, please.
Yes, thank you. Yes, just I'll take a minute. Yeah, we have been working with PCCB, and I know the members, particularly the chair, co-chairs, very well. ICAD is a partner with PCCB, and I have a query because, you know, capacity building is done by many different institutions with overlapping kind of efforts. Even within UNFCCC, there are 12 or 13 organizations do this activity. So I will request the PCCB to do kind of an analysis of who is doing what, so that we can have the maximum result out of the limited amount of money that invested for capacity building. Another issue is so many projects are undertaken in the name of capacity building, but how much money actually goes for capacity building? We need to do kind of an analytical study on this, you know. For COP26, I very much I'm hopeful that in other areas we will not have much progress, but in capacity building, which is not a very political issue yet, not at all, so we can have some real progress. So we need to get prepared well for COP26. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Professor Khan. I think rightly said, this is something that we do have to focus on and sort of ensure that there is more collaboration happening. As a part of this meeting, other than just looking back at the first year of the PCCB network, we do want to enhance cooperation and collaboration between all of the network members. I would like to now give the floor to Melody. I see your hand raised. You could take the floor now, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. This is Melody from the International Research Institute for Climate and Society, IRI, at Columbia. Yeah, for me, my expectations from this call and the PCCB network in general is to better understand what others are doing and how it aligns with what we do, so how we can support the network, and also how we can potentially reach more people who are interested in the kind of things we offer. And among other things, we are working on capacity building, so I really support what Professor Mizan just said about, like, it would be very useful to have a better sense of who is already doing capacity building on what, and how can we complement that instead of potentially duplicating efforts. So really interested in this network. Yeah, there are a lot of familiar faces and also a lot of people I don't know and we don't necessarily work with. So looking forward to connecting more with everyone. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Melody. Putting more faces to names, I guess that's the point of the network, and we'd like to make that a thing. We would like to now have Prince Lekhan take the floor. I see your hand raised. If you could just take the floor. I don't know. We
can hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Perfect. Yeah, go for it. Thank you.
Well, I think it's used. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, I think I followed up the discussion. I think the key thing we are looking at is to look at sharing experience. A lot of things are happening. You may need to talk to somebody. You may need to get separate different opinion. And you might even need to work together on projects. At the same time, you might need to look at capacity building, and especially in this area where knowledge is key. I think these are some of the things that we are looking for in this network.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Like you mentioned, we need to be able to share our experiences. And that was also one of the aims of this open floor session, because we are sort of, enabling this discussion. I see another one on the chat by Miroslav.
Yes, hello everyone. Greetings from Austria. My name is Miroslav Polzer. I'm with the International Association for the Advancement of Innovative Approaches to Global Challenges. It's a UNFCCC accredited NGO working on getting everyone engaged in climate action and empowered. And as Professor Mizan Khan has said, that there are many programs within the UNFCCC that look at capacity building. I wanted to draw also your attention to an event that we are organizing tomorrow on stepping up action for climate empowerment. And as my organization is a member of the PCCB network and also very active in Action for Climate Empowerment, I think it's very important, or I would advocate for building stronger bridges between ACE and the PCCB program. And tomorrow's event will be something to get an entry point for those who are not so familiar with ACE yet.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Polzer, for your intervention. I think we can now close this question and move on to the next part of the discussion. Next slide, please. Yes. So I think now we can go into exploring how can the PCCB network facilitate collaborations and partnerships. We would love to hear from you what you think would help the whole process of collaborating and partnering. You can now, the floor is open for intervention, so you could just raise your hand and I will call out your name and you can make your intervention then. Perfect. I see one hand raised by Gunsham Seaborn. The floor is yours, please. We can't hear you right now. If other members of the network would also like to intervene, you can raise your hand now, and then I can call out your name. Before now, I did see Gunshan's hand raised. So if you can hear us, the floor is yours. I see Tersir Bamber. You can take the floor now until we get Gunshan back on board.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Am I being heard?
You're audible. Perfect. Go for it.
Oh, okay. Bambe Angel Support Foundation, Nigeria. It's for us, we are first timers, and it's actually good to be here because our work in climate change in Nigeria looks for networks and resources such as this to support what we do and then enhance us to reach more people. So talking about collaboration, the first step to collaboration is knowing what we have in-house in terms of capacity. What areas do we have capacity in? So if the network is able to do a proper map of what resources we have, and then also have a directory of who and who to contact in terms of needs of network as the need arises. For instance, if I need capacity building, I should know which other network member I should be talking to. If I need support in terms of project implementation, I should know which network member I should be talking to. And then, of course, on the part of the network as a model also, member organizations should also know what the network can offer in terms of support. That's not also forgetting the fact that member organizations have different capacities that can be contacted when the need arises by the network or other members of the network. So for me, I think the first step is a proper map of what capacity we have in-house. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your intervention. I see another one on the chat, John Furlow. Could you please take the floor?
Sure. Thanks. I'm John Furlow. I work with Melody Brown at the International Research Institute for Climate and Society at Columbia University. We're a university, we do a lot of teaching. We also are doing more and more training and capacity building. And I liked Professor Mizan Khan's intervention, but I think it would be useful to measure success in ways beyond the amount of money that gets spent. And the most effective measure, or the most sought after measure, would be, can the trainees use what they learn to enhance their job to get better results? And so if this network could use its membership to identify ways of measuring that sort of thing, so that different trainings can be compared and contrasted, that would be extremely helpful for us, I think. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Furlow. I see a lot of thumbs up for your intervention. So clearly this is a popular one and something that we should definitely explore. We have another one by Melody. Melody, would you like to take the floor?
Sure. That was just adding to what other people have suggested earlier, saying once we have a better sense of who is doing what, we can identify specific topics or themes and then create working groups where people can exchange in smaller groups on very specific things they're working on. And that could help identify how to align different initiatives and how to collaborate between organizations that are not necessarily already working together.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. I see Ashu Gupta's hand raised again. You can take the floor.
Yes, Riddhi. So my suggestion is that because I am part of the various global organizations where we are having a chapters in the countries specific, and we do arrange a lot of, and these associations are related to the energy efficiency or the water efficiency related to the climate change somehow. And so what we can do, we can also have the similar kind of chapters, why we say the PCCB network in different countries, and we can add up more members so they can also get engaged in that, and we can plan activities, what the best practices happening in other countries or what we can do in the different sector. But this is how we can network country wise, we can develop, we can add more and more members in this network.
Thank you so much, Ashu. We will now quickly take two more interventions, quick interventions, and move to the next question. Gunita, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm from Indonesia. I'm from Apik, Indonesia. And then I just want to give some suggestion for the PCCB to make a collaboration among the member. I think that we need to have some like a database, because like us in Indonesia, we have so many topics to have, because we have some very different condition in Indonesia, and then we do something in there, but sometimes because of the condition, we not really have an experience to increase the capacity building in certain condition. That's why if we have some database in this PCCB, maybe we can see the approach that can already have from another countries. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yonata, for that. I see Gunsham's hand still raised. I don't know if you could still hear us, but the floor is yours.
Yes, you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go for it.
Yes, I am Gansham Suran from Mauritius, the president of Falcon Association. Is a farmers association, and here I will like to have more collaboration with small countries, SDGs countries. So I will request to invite more small countries to be in, so that we can have exchange of ideas, what they are doing, because we are different with big countries. And also I like to have invite research and innovation in climate change. So if there is scientists on this ground, for example, for the soil biodiversity, and also for the how we can innovate in agriculture sectors in all the countries. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you so much for your intervention. Representation definitely matters, and that's something that we are working on, given the fact that the network is quite global as well. I now request Felino to make your intervention. I can see your hand.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Ino Lansigan. I represent the Asia Climate Expert Network, a member of the PCCB. As we all know, PCCB network is made up of individuals, institutions, as well as networks themselves. And I would expect PCCB network to provide or publicize activities of members, of its members, so that perhaps the other members from different parts of the world can participate, particularly in webinars. And another one, I would propose that we explore the possibility of exchanging experiences regarding mentoring of young researchers and people involved in capacity building on climate change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Felino. One last intervention, and then we move on to the next question. Dr. Deb Morrison, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you. I think one of the things that I could see really helping facilitate collaborations and partnerships would be building out the network to link experts in different areas with a clear social network map that would help people find each other. And then also related to the social network map, I find that I work a lot in different types of partnerships, and one of the things that's most beneficial is having shared work. So when like the last speaker was talking about, when you have shared learning together, that you actually also have some type of shared task or resource that you build together. And that could be something like a toolkit for instance, for mentoring, that we create like a brief that could then be used further and more broadly in the network around how to mentor, best practices, programs of mentoring, things like that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Morrison. That was really helpful. We've noted all of your feedback, and we will be working on this to make the network even more coherent, cohesive, and collaborative. Now, moving on to the next question of the discussion, what platforms or tools are needed to initiate dialogue? Just like Dr. Morrison just said, that it would be helpful to have a toolkit. The floor is now open for interventions. So if you could just raise your hand, and I will call up your name, and you can make your intervention. I see Kosum, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Please, the floor is yours. I don't know if you could hear us now.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. We can hear you. The floor is yours.
I'm sorry. Just I want to merge the last question and this one as one, because Africa is a particular continent where we have a lot of challenges but also opportunities, and I find that having a platform for Africa to as a focus, a continent where we can develop PCCB network activities can be something relevant, and the focus also on how we can engage women, in the climate change activities can be something very important. So we need to look on that. But also linking to that climate change to agriculture and food security activities in Africa is something that I think that can be strategically important for us. And we are open and ready to facilitate also with your support this platform for Africa dialogue in climate change linked to women and youth engagement. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I see Eva's hand raised. You can take the floor now, please.
Yeah, hi, this is Eva from Climate Chance Association. Yeah, I think it would be a great idea to continue organizing specific workshops or webinars on more specific topics, because we all work on different climate change issues, but I think it would be nice if we had like specific opportunities to work on topics like energy, mobility, and agriculture, for example.
Thank you so much, Eva. Janak, I see your hand raised. You can take the floor.
Yeah, thank you. So to add on to the comment earlier about having a focus on Africa, I think perhaps Discord would be a great platform to utilize for this need. Because I think it's also great if we can have focus groups, for example, in Southeast Asia, etc. Because, well, it's definitely helpful to have people working on similar things. And yeah, I think it would be great if we can use Discord, because it has that function to allow us to create different groups, and we can have a major group and then different groups based on continents. So that's something that perhaps PCCB can consider.
Thank you so much, Janak. Like you mentioned, not just the thematic streams, also exploring regionally is a great way to go. We shall be working on something around that as well. But if there are no more interventions for this session, for this question, we can move to the next question. All right, so the next question is, how can we enhance network activities under the PCCB focus area? So the PCCB focus area for this year is building capacity to facilitate coherent implementation of the NDCs in the context of national development plans. So what kind of activities can the network sort of organize so that we sort of align to the PCCB focus area? The floor is now open for intervention. So just like before, you can raise your hand and I can call upon your name and you can have the floor. We will also quickly just post the focus area on the chat so that everyone can look at it there as well. I see Ron Tan's hand raised. You can take the floor, please.
Hello. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go for it.
Good afternoon. I'm from Singapore. So basically, we want to change the way we practice the current agriculture practice of using toxic chemical. So because the ocean and the water system are all been damaged by and biodiversity have been damaged by the toxic NPK fertilizer, which is currently being used around the globe. So unless we stop using this toxic fertilizer, we will continue to destroy the ocean. At the moment, all the rivers and ocean are being destroyed by this toxic chemical from the leaching from agriculture. So we need to stop so that there will be no more red tides and all our major rivers, ocean, all destroyed by leaching NPK fertilizer. So there's a way to change it called nature-based solution, which the United Nations and Secretary General advocating, called nature-based solution, where the animal husbandry and natural photosynthesis and emphasis on not using any chemical for the soil. At the moment, all these NPK are destroying the soil. So anybody interested, I've written on the chat there, my link and my email is there. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your attention. So you can also take a look at the chat and sort of get information about other network members and the kind of activities they are taking part in. Can Gina Cortez please take the floor now? I don't know if you could hear us, Gina, but you can take the floor now.
Hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Perfect.
Sorry, I had a problem with my mics. My name is Gina Cortez. I come from Colombia and I'm based in Munich working for WCF, Women Engaged for a Common Future. We are a civil society, not-for-profit feminist organization based in different countries. And something to add on this point is that this is a great opportunity for organizations, for example, like us, that are working with different grassroots organizations in different regions around the world to provide exemplary solutions and solutions of good practices and lessons learned from different countries that have overcome different obstacles to implement inclusive climate policies, and also on that organizations that are showing the lead on how local activities and local projects can impact in an international level. So I think that while we are already thinking about thematic and also regional opportunities, this would be a way to just organize some specific thematic webinars or different type of events in which folks can share these type of solutions, because the solutions are already there. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Gina, for your intervention. For the sake of time, now we will be closing this session. But if you have any interventions to make, you can leave them in the chat. We will, of course, look at it and everyone else will have a chance to look at it. I'd like to now thank everyone for their valuable inputs and the lively discussion that we just had. As a network, we're always striving to do better and to improve. And what better way to do this than learning from other networks? So in this next part of the open floor, we would like you to provide us with inputs and best practices from your own networks, and what we can bring into the PCCB network. To kickstart this discussion, I would like to introduce you to Fabian Cleme from GIZ, who will be sharing their experience from their own regional network. PATPA and how some of their successful elements can be implemented into the network. Fabian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ridi. I also prepared some slides, which I hope you can see now. Just a few. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, colleagues around the globe. Greetings from Bonn, Germany. My name is Fabian Klemme, and I head the Secretariat of the Partnership on Transparency in the Paris Agreement, or short PATPA, as we call it. The Secretariat is hosted by the Support Project for the Implementation of the Paris Agreement at German Development Corporation, GIZ. It is really a pleasure for us to be members of the PCCB network and participate in today's meeting. And I would like to thank the UNFCCC Secretariat for the invitation to share our experience in building strong networks through the PATPA. In order to set the scene, let me start with a few sentences why transparency matters for climate action. In our understanding, transparency is the backbone of the Paris Agreement. Why is that? Because we can only improve what we know. One prime example of this is the relationship between the Enhanced Transparency Framework, ETF, and the NDC cycle. So quality data is not only key to formulating ambitious and effective NDCs, but also to tracking progress on NDC implementation and subsequently raising ambitions and also building trust among countries. So to move on, the question is, what do we at PATPA do to support climate transparency worldwide? The partnership PATPA was founded in 2010 by Germany, South Africa, and South Korea. It is a semi-formal forum, and the partnership has gained international recognition. Today, more than 100 countries and also international organizations participate in our various activities. In PATPA, we support efforts for a strong international transparency framework and also its sustainable implementation on the national level. To do so, we offer demand-driven peer learning and capacity development through a variety of South-South-North exchange formats. So here on the slide, you see the different levels on which we work. The first one is the global level, where the PATPA hosts the so-called annual partnership retreat, the APR. At the APR, transparency negotiators convene to discuss their viewpoints on transparency-related matters in an informal atmosphere. And this really fosters dialogue and trust among the negotiators, facilitating also eventual success then later at the negotiation table. Secondly, moving on to the regional level, we provide a space for networking and mutual learning on transparency for more than 100 countries through 5 different regional and also language groups. Here we specifically concentrate on collectively developing capacities for the implementation of the transparency provisions of the Convention and the Paris Agreement through networking and peer learning. The third pillar is our bilateral activities, where we provide flexible short-term support through our climate help desk, which is targeted at the support needs of our partner countries. Lastly, we also identify good practices and lessons learned and disseminate them through our tools and knowledge products. All in all, of course, we might not always have all the answers, but we basically provide the network and methods for our partners to find the answers together. So how do we keep up our networks, especially now in these challenging times? Given our strong reliance on in-person workshops for dialogue and learning in the past, we honestly had a particularly steep mountain to climb when the pandemic made personal meetings impossible. However, we did not let the challenges discourage us and succeeded through trial and error or failing forward. So 2 examples stand out in particular. Firstly, in our regional groups, we first got our virtual feet wet with webinars. But to keep the networks between our participants alive, we soon delved into more interactive multi-day workshops, engaging participants in breakout groups and using innovative tools for knowledge exchange, such as online whiteboard tools, or, for example, also Menti, which we're using today here. The second example is that we, in 2020, held our first virtual annual partnership retreat, and hence were able to keep up networking and dialogue between negotiators from 40 countries at a time where no formal climate negotiations were held. Here again, we allowed participants to work together in smaller groups using digital collaboration tools. Despite the challenges that we all face in purely virtual events, we received very appreciative feedback from participants for providing spaces for engagement and exchange. In the future, we will be able to make use of experiences and engage with our partners virtually where suitable. This will also help us, of course, to decrease our organizational carbon footprint by flying less and also increasing our outreach. However, we also recognize that virtual events come with their own challenges and limitations, and we look forward to also returning to in-person engagements again. To conclude, I cannot move to the next slide. There we go. To conclude, I would like to share 3 success factors for effective networks, whether in no, I'm sure there's more success factors, but I picked out these 3. So these are ownership, interactivity, and continuity. With regard to ownership, it is vital that the participants of the networks are actually its owners. Networks should be member-driven, and their activities should address the needs and wishes of the participants. In the case of PAPA and its regional groups, this also includes offering spaces of engagement in different languages, as was also raised earlier by the colleague from Mali. The second success factor is interactivity. It is particularly important to enable network participants to step out of the role of mere spectators, for example, by participating in webinars, but really allowing them to participate through sharing their views and opinions and through immediately communicating with colleagues bilaterally or also in smaller groups and not only in the plenary. The third success factor is continuity. And this is really meant twofold. On the one hand, it is important that people and organizations continuously engage with the network in order to grow and develop together. On the other hand, it is important that also the network or the secretariat of the network offers continuous opportunities for participants to engage and exchange. And here in the future, we will, of course, make more use of the virtual opportunities and possibilities we have. So I would leave it at that. And I really look forward to continuing the exchange with the PCB network members on how to build sustainable and effective networks, and also learning about experiences of others during today's event. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Fabian, for all your inputs and insights. It's been a pleasure to hear you and how your network has grown. Now we would like to hear from the rest of the network on the best practices from your own or other networks that we could bring to the PCCB network. For the sake of time, we'll just take one intervention. The floor is open. So I see Mr. Abdulhadi. You have the floor now. I can't, we can't hear you. Mr. Abdulhadi, the floor is yours now. Yeah, we can now. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, perfect.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Abdulhadi from Afghanistan. We have a network, environmental network, which is working in Afghanistan only. And my question, also my answer to your question is, you can conduct different kind of workshops and trainings for the PCCB network members virtually and also physically in the office. And the tools that can enhance partnership and to engage all members. The only way that connect different people are social media. We can work on social media and can enhance also social media to give a chance to people to share the ideas and concepts. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your input. We are now at the end of the open floor session. If you still have any more interventions in terms of experience sharing or networking, please leave them on the chat. We are keeping an eye on that and we will be recording them as well. We hope to benefit from your experience in developing similar work under the umbrella of the PCCB network. Thank you once again for sharing, and back to you, Roberta.
Thank you very much, Riddhi, for moderating this session, and thank you everyone for engaging and for the lively discussion. We have to stop here to be able to follow the agenda, but as Ridi said already, if you didn't get the chance to intervene or if there is anything else that you would like to share, you will have the chance to record your thoughts and comment on a survey that will be shared with you at the end of the meeting today. And of course, you can also always reach out to us via email. Now, before we move on to the next agenda item, we will have a short 5-minute break. Feel free to grab yourself a cup of water, do some stretching, or if you wish to stay with us, enjoy the following music. Thank you and see you in 5 minutes. Here we are. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. And in this section, Alejandro Kilpatrick, the leader of the UNFCCC capacity building team, will be running you through the upcoming activities of the PCCB and PCCB network and how network members can be involved. So over to you, Alejandro.
Thank you very much, Roberta, and greetings to everyone participating in what so far has been a very interesting meeting. I would like to just give a quick overview of some upcoming activities where the PCCB will be involved and which could also be of interest to network members. For example, the PCCB will actively engage in the 10th Durban Forum on Capacity Building, which will take place early June. As probably some of you know, the idea is that the topics to be discussed in the Durban Forum are to be aligned with the focus area of the PCCB for 2021, which has been put on the chat. Actually, it's a mandate that whatever is discussed in the Durban Forum should be aligned with this focus area. Here, network members will be alerted once the registrations for the Durban Forum are open, and of course you can participate actively in those discussions. There will also be the 5th meeting of the PCCB, also early June. Date still pending final confirmation. And here's also a space where network members as observers can participate in the meeting, and will also be alerting the members on when the registration for the 5th meeting of the PCB will take place. The PCCB is also organizing or planning to organize side events or events at the regional climate weeks that are starting in May in Latin America, and then June and July. So the PCCB is working on several ideas to organize side events, and that's also an opportunity for network members to engage and participate. Of course, there's also the Capacity Building Hub, which is now a mandated activity for the PCCB. The hubs, the Capacity Building Hubs takes place during the COPs, during the sessions of the Conference of the Party. We had so far 2 in-person capacity building hubs. The last one took place in Madrid. This year at COP26, the idea is to organize a capacity building hub. We don't know exactly the form yet in light of the current situation, but that's also on a space we will be keeping you informed, and where network members, as in the past, have always been very active in organizing sessions and events in the capacity building hub. There was an intervention in the chat about calls for submissions. There will be 2 further calls for submissions to be published in June, called by the PCCB, one on enhancing country ownership of capacity building, and another one on tools and methodologies for implementing capacity building. Network members will be alerted once the calls are out, and of course, look forward to submissions from network members. Another important element of the PCCB's work is the toolkit to support the assessment of capacity gaps and needs at national level with regard to the NDC implementation. This is an ongoing work envisaged to be launched at COP26, and the intention is to actively engage PCCB network members to hear from them experiences and best practices, case studies on how to assess capacity gaps and needs at national level. So that's a quick overview of the forthcoming activities of the PCCB that might be of interest to network members. And We will be informing all PCCB network members once all these activities are more advanced and registrations open, and so you can actively engage. Moving to the next part of the agenda, I will now be giving the floor to my colleague Victor, who will be taking you through different polls to map members' interest and collaboration opportunities. These polls will lead us into the next element or block of this event, which is the actual collaboration. I think came up a lot already during the discussion, how to concretely collaborate. So I'll hand it over to Victor to explain us how this poll will work. Victor, over to you.
Thank you, Alejandro. Now we will jump to the next part of the meeting. The PCCB is aware of the diversity of backgrounds from the organizations associated to the network. This diversity is a source of richness and strength. The same as biodiversity is a source of richness and strength for nature. Some of you might have been working on mitigations, others on adaptation, or even on both at the same time, reporting, making policies, and a long list of topics. But we all have one main goal: enhancing capacities in all countries to reach the climate targets committed under the Paris Agreement. Dear network members, we would like to hear about your expertise and your interests. In the following poll, we will ask you about the thematic areas you are most interested in. Please go again to menti.com. To access this new question, please enter the following code: 44298700. This code will be also posted on the chat. All right, so I hope that you can see my screen with the results of the question. We already have some answers. All right, so I can see that mitigation and NDCs are on the top of your priorities, but also we have many others that have your vote. It is really important that we have a big diversity in the activities that we have and in the topics that we are tackling. So please let us know through your polls what you think about it. And as I see now, mitigation is still on the top. It's doing great. And now we have one more vote for a follow. All right. So you can keep posting your answers on the poll, and we will use it later on to prioritize, as I said, those activities in which the network members have most interest in. All right. And yeah. So thank you very much for your inputs. As you may know, the PCCB network has been in the last year. The PCCB network has been in the last year a platform for you to collaborate with other members. Some of you have jointly developed some activities, for instance, during the climate dialogues in November. We want to continue collaborating with you. For this reason, we would like to offer you the support of the PCCB network to create your own events and activities. Among the PCCB network members, you can find many potential partners that can support you or co-lead those activities with you. With the aim of facilitating those collaborations among network members, we have created a form that you can use to send your suggestions for future activities. These suggestions will be shared through our communication channels. If you and your partners decide to do an activity together under the umbrella of the PCCB network, the PCCB will help you in different ways. Among others, we will support you by promoting your activity in the wider capacity building community through the PCCB and the UNFCCC communication channels, as well as provide virtual meeting technology if you require it. The link to the form will be posted on the chat and will also be sent in a follow-up email after this event. The form will remain available for you anytime that you want to post any suggestions. Don't miss this opportunity and send us your ideas, even if they are just on a preliminary stage. And now over to you, Roberta.
Thank you very much, Victor, and welcome to the last segment of this meeting, the meetup spaces. You will now have the chance to join one of the 3 discussion groups, and this will be an opportunity to network, exchange ideas, and propose concrete actions to enhance capacity building. The first discussion group is mainstreaming youth, gender responsiveness, and indigenous people knowledge into capacity building. It is led by Jennifer Hanna, who is a member of the PCCB working group that addresses cross-cutting issues. The second is engaging with and learning from each other. It is led by Crispy Doverne, who is also a member of the PCCB and a member of the PCCB working group that addresses awareness raising, communications, and stakeholder engagement. And finally, the third group is identifying and addressing capacity gaps and needs. It is led by Mr. Mahawan Karunyasa, and he is the leader of the PCCB working group on identifying capacity gaps and needs. So participants, now you may decide which discussion group you would like to participate in. If you would like to join the first meetup space, please stay in this call. If you would like to join the second or third meetup spaces, please click on the appropriate link to be directed to that meetup space. And the links will be posted now in the chat. Thank you.
We'll be posting the links shortly. Just 1 minute, please. There's a lot of traffic in the chat, but just the links are there. So they've been posted for each of the 3 meetup spaces. So you can just go directly to the meetup space of your choice and following that link. So please scroll down and maybe we can post, the team can post again the links, but if you please stop expressing your interest, because then it will be easier for everyone to see the links. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alejandro. And while people click on the links to go to spaces 2 and 3, I'll stay in number 1, and I think I can give the floor to Jennifer. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Roberta. Roberta, could I just ask a quick technical question? Because the meetup spaces are only Jamboards, not actual virtual links.
The one that were just posted by Victor, you mean here?
Yeah.
Let me try.
Yeah, that's true. Can we get some clarity from the Secretariat?
Yes, please. Thanks.
Yes, it was a mistake. I will just post it immediately. Sorry.
Hi, Crispin.
Hey, hi, hi, Jennifer.
Hello, so we are still in the main room, right? Waiting for the link.
Yes, now the link for space number 2 is there.
Okay.
Okay, should we give like a couple more minutes for people to join their meetup space?
Wow. Well, I'm getting a message. I'm getting a message that our services aren't available right now.
Yeah, Crispin, you should go to the link for the second meetup space.
This is what I've done.
And this is what it gets.
Okay, I think. Let's see now. Let's see.
Okay, try now. There's a link now.
Yeah, he left. I see somebody raising their hand, Kasum, if I spell it correctly. Yes, Kasum, you have the floor.
I'm sorry, I think that was the previous.
No, okay.
Okay,
Don't worries, no worries.
sorry, Jennifer.
No worries. Well, I think that we should start. I believe everybody just like follow and figure out where to go for the links in the space meeting. So hi everybody, welcome. Thank you for joining this meetup dedicated to mainstreaming youth, gender responsiveness, and indigenous people knowledge into capacity building. I'm looking forward to a lively conversation and let's just, we have 30 minutes, I think, or a little bit less. I'm not sure how time it's behaving on our side, but let's make the most of it. So before we start, let me quickly remind you the rules of the discussion. Now we are just changing a little bit from Menti to Jamboard. So interventions in this meeting will be done using the Jamboard and your microphone. So when given the floor by me, of course, please unmute yourself and speak. Please keep your interventions limited to 1 minute. To make sure all interested participants have time to share their thoughts. I'm now going to give the floor to Eva so she can show us how to use Jamboard. So Eva, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. As you said, Jamboard will be a big part of the discussion and of this session today, and it will really be used to facilitate that discussion. As you can see, the link for the Jamboard has been shared in the chat. I see that a few of you have already joined, so that's great. Again, through the link, you'll be able to access Jamboard. Let me know if you have any issues. So to teach you how Jamboard works, essentially on the left hand of the screen, you will be able to see a little box over here that says sticky note. So I'm just going to move on to the next slide and we can test it out. So in order to add a sticky note, you just click in here. You can add your name, for instance, and maybe in parentheses, the organization you're a part of. Oops. You can change the color of your sticky note. And then once you like the text that you've written on the sticky note, you can click save. And then it should be on the Jamboard. Once you've done the sticky note, you can drag it around the Jamboard. You can also make it bigger and make it smaller. Now I'd actually like for you to please try for yourselves and actually try to add a sticky note with your name and the name of your organization. You see Jennifer already added hers. That's great. Again, throughout the session or right now, please let me know if you encounter any issues or if you need any assistance.
Hi, Eva. Just a question in the Jamboard. This is in the first slide, right? I think. Okay, great.
Yeah, Well, the second slide. This was the first slide, the netiquette. Now we're all right. Thank you, Anu. Thank you, Gina Cortez. Welcome. That's great. Thank you very much, all. So you can see we can have different colors and rearrange them wherever you want. If anyone else wants to test it out before we move forward, Jana from Malaysia Youth Delegation, thank you very much. That's great. Darina, thank you. Thank you, Rodrigo. All right. I see that a lot of you have been able to add the sticky note, so I think we can proceed with netiquette for this meetup space. So again, we're going to have several guiding questions throughout this session. Please, we encourage you to write bullet points or just keywords for any ideas that you may have on the sticky notes. There's no need to write unnecessary huge text. And again, for each sticky note that you write, we would really appreciate it if you could have at the end of the sticky note, either underneath at the bottom or in brackets, your name or the name of your organization. So then it'd be easier for Jennifer to call out on you and to ask you to further develop your ideas on the sticky notes. Again, as Jennifer said, the focus for the session will be on the Jamboard. So any ideas or anything that will be posted on the chat will sadly be disregarded. So any ideas or any interventions that you may wish to do, please write them down in the sticky notes. Again, that's it for me. If you encounter any issues throughout the session, please let me know. But I see a lot of you already managed to have the sticky notes, but back to you, Jennifer. I think we can move forward.
Thank you, Eva. I see everybody, well, most of the people in the meetup space already trying out Jamboard and letting us know who are actively participating on the discussion. So, well, if at the moment that you click the Jamboard, you will see or you notice that you have several windows. So this is to guide our discussion, and then we are going to deal with three main questions in the discussion. So the first one will be what type of activities can be undertaken to mainstream youth, gender responsiveness, and indigenous people knowledge topics. I'm just gonna tell all the three questions, and then we will just start the discussions and the playground. I like to call this a playground because it seems like we are a little bit playing around. So the second questions will be how the network address these topics more properly. And the third one will be which topics under the theme of youth and capacity building would you like to explore for regional climate weeks? As many of you know, due to COVID and pandemic and all the restriction that we have since last year, so the regional climate weeks are going to be virtual and divided in two sessions, the technical and the more high level that is up to the hosting governments to know what the best modality to move forward with it. But so far it is going to be the first step virtual. So we would like to give you the opportunity for you guys to share your thoughts on that. So finally, we will give you an opportunity to write down your name, organization, if you're interested in participating in the African and Asia Pacific Climate Weeks as well. So I invite you to use Jamboard to consider the first question. Please remember to write your name so that I may give you the floor. After you speak, I will select a new sticky note and give that person the floor. So let's go to the first question again. What types of activities can be undertaken to mainstream youth, gender responsiveness, and indigenous people knowledge topics? I'm going to go with, let's see, Abdulhadi. I'm so sorry if I don't pronounce your name well. So Abdulnahi, you have the floor.
Sorry, Jennifer, if I can just jump in. I think my question earlier in the call was because when we opened the Jamboard, we went immediately into this slide. So people were putting names here. I'm not sure this actually corresponds to the first activity, to put our names and the organization rather than a participation or intervention, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. That might create a little bit of confusion. So let's do one thing. If Eva, if you agree with me, can we just like all the sticky notes in this slide, can we delete it, and people who want to probably take the floor to answer this question can right now introduce a new sticky note with your name and organization. How about that?
Right. Ideally, it would be great if on the sticky notes you could write your response to these questions, essentially, in a few keywords or bullet points, and then your name in parentheses, and then based on the topics on each sticky notes, we'll be able to call on you.
Exactly. Thank you. Well, maybe I can give the floor to Ron. I see you wanting your hands up. Ron, you have the floor.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm from Singapore. Basically, what we are doing is we want to change the global way of practicing the current agriculture practice using toxic chemical, because all the major rivers and the major oceans have been damaged. There are many red tides, dead zones. Rivers have a lot of dead fishes and floating around a lot of plastics. So unless we stop the pollution, it's very hard to achieve the SDG 17 goal of sustainable development. So we need to change, stop the pollution and change to nature-based solution for all crops agriculture. So I put out my link on the PCCB website. Then those interested should be able to contact me. I thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Okay.
Our mute. Thank you.
Thank you. So I see Rodrigo. Rodrigo, please take the floor.
Yes, thank you. I just included a sticky note on youth. So one thing that we have seen in our latest engagement with youth is that they are basically prepared to participate already in policy discussions. So that is in panels and focus groups and even on events. They are well ahead of what we think youth is when it comes to the technicalities of capacity development and climate change. So one thing that has worked in the last years is to invite youth as an inspirational element in our events. But I think we should be transitioning more into including youth as part of the technical discussions and policy discussions beyond the tokenism and beyond the inspirational element, because we might be underestimating their capacity to innovate and their capacity to propose solutions that perhaps are out of the box.
Perfect.
And
Thank you, Rodrigo. I totally agree with you on that.
Thanks.
I can. It's every day more clear about how youth is more involved in climate change issues, and especially in developing countries, you can see a rise of a huge mass of thinking at this area. So I couldn't agree more with you on that. Um, I see. I don't know, Kasam, if you are with your hand from the other session, or do you wish to take the floor? I will say that no. Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Can you? Yes.
Yes.
Please. Um, yes. For me, there are 2 points I want to highlight in the gender responsiveness activity. First, I find that in any issue we want to deal, we need to develop tools for gender analysis as a basic activity for any planning activity. For me, this is something very important. We want to make sure that we are including gender in all of our capacity building activities. And the second thing is to include women in climate change strategy and capacity building activities, planning, implementation, and also monitoring and evaluation. Also for advocacy about the gender responsiveness activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Kasum. If I can give some clarity from you, it is already on the sticky note, right? Making gender analysis
Yes.
as basic activity for any planning activity, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I see Gina. Gina, please, you can take the floor.
Thanks, Jennifer. So I put engagement and synergy creation of feminist organizations through the Women and Gender constituency of the UNFCCC. I also see a similar note there, that I think that we can, of course, benefit from all the different constituencies that are already part of the UNFCCC, and that actually are currently engaged with key civil society and local stakeholders that are making progress towards greater ambition, towards systemic transformations, and also within these constituencies and within these groups. For example, for our case as WCF, within this network in the Women and Gender constituency, we already count with different and a great diversity of solutions, of knowledge, of practices, from which community members from the PCCB can also benefit in terms of capacity building, different type of trainings, technical knowledge, among different others. So I think that in the way that we create these synergies among the different bodies and among the different groups, we would be also saving kind of some time researching where these people are or this knowledge is. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you for that. Actually, I'm just gonna give a little bit of information here. I think your suggestion is already under development around the UNCCC constituency. We recently had last month a gender focal points for the constituency under the UNCCC to let them know what are those gender requirements of gaps that we're trying to deal with it within the constituency of the UNCCC, but also how can we from the inside to the outside, how can we approach and engage more audiences with a gender responsiveness, let's say similarity. So we will take a lot into consideration your suggestions and let us play around a little bit of how that we can make it that synergy creation. So thank you so much. I see that. I think all the gender responsive sticky notes are already being explained. I guess the only one that hasn't been so far is include women in climate change strategies and capacity building development activities. I'm not sure who was the author of this sticky note. I'm going to please ask the author to raise their hands and take the floor so they can explain a little bit around it. Kasum, is that you again?
Actually, Jennifer, we have two notes here from Saki from ICCAD, and it'd be great to have this as a last intervention before we move on to the next question.
Yeah, thank you, Eva. Yes, help me a little bit with the time because I'm a little bit lost there. So okay, so I think Sakib, you are our dear friend from the network and the PCCB since the beginning. I see you have two very good points on youth, and one of your colleagues also have another one for you. So if you can take the floor, or Mahmouda, whoever wants to take the floor from the ICCCD.
Thank you, Jennifer. Maybe I'll go with my two bullets, and then I'll ask Mahmouda to come in with her one. So one of the things that we've been working on, and we've sort of realized, is that quite a lot of the other networks and constituency groups and so on, they also all try and touch a little bit about the marginalized groups within their activities as well. So whether it's gender responsiveness or youth inclusion and indigenous peoples inclusion, etc. But rather than everybody having a more siloed approach, I think it would be good if we were to maybe outreach and find from within the other constituency groups somebody who might be able to be a representative or a focal, or at the very least to be able to maybe come and present what are the activities that they're outlining for this year's agenda, maybe from one COP to the next, or even a bit longer term, so that in terms of mainstreaming, we're not all working in silos and sort of going in different directions and expending resources separately, but it's a little bit more coordinated for all of us to have a bit more of a holistic approach of bringing in the youngos who work specifically on the youth one, maybe synthesizing all their demands and sort of looking at what are the top 4 or 5 things that they would like to see worked upon in the next couple of years. And maybe that's part of the capacity building that we pick from them, and look at how maybe those constituency groups themselves are lacking in capacity. So that might be some way of us being able to provide our activities to be of service rather than just something that is happening in silo from what they're already doing. So thank you for that. Maybe I'll hand over to Mahmouda.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Jennifer and Sakipaya, for giving me the floor. So, like for me, young people are doing a lot of good work, and like from their fresh mind, they always come up with a lot of new, very good ideas. So I think improving the quality and recognizing of their work can be a good approach for mainstreaming this topic. Yeah, that's all from my end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sakim and Mahmouda. So good comments and suggestions we will take into consideration. I'm sorry for rushing people into this conversation, but I think we got a little bit distracted and very into the discussion. So I would like to give the opportunity to go to the next question. But please, if you have other inputs, you might still put it on the sticky notes in the Jamboard, so we will make sure to recollect everything in there for the report and the information and the steps forward. So now I will guide you guys to consider the next question is how can the network address these topics more prominently? It's like, yes, we need to have more gender responsiveness. We need to have more synergies. We need to involve youth into the capacity building activities. But how? How exactly are we going to do this? How can we maybe transform the usual, normal, static way that we used to and make it a more dynamic issue and a more accessible mechanism or tool to do this? So please, what I would like to do is mostly give the opportunity you guys to write the sticky notes there, and I could just easily read it out. And if you have a really urgent, let's say, clarity to make about that sticky note, please raise your hand and I will give you the floor very, very briefly. So for gender responsiveness, what I see is showcase the story of women in capacity building together with gender violence responsiveness allies. Okay, good. That's a very good idea, but what I would like to give a little more information about how how do we showcase these stories, what platforms do we use, what mechanism do we use. So maybe think about that area in to make it a little bit more fun. So for youth, I see through Young Leaders Program, I like this, but again, how will this program let's say showcase, and also linking priorities with the activities of youth constituency. Exactly. So how do we know these priorities? How do we make sure this are linked? So again, agree and happy to collaborate in design and implementation. Timothy, hi Timothy, nice to see you here with the discussion. You're always a active participation on capacity building in youth and ACE. I can see another one that is in gender responsiveness is provide a platform to share case studies and lessons learned through activities which could be merged with capacity building and skill development. Good. Okay, so now we're seeing tools, we're seeing platform. So what will this platform will be looking like? Will this be a UNCCC platform? It will be a network, a regional, a local that could be connected into a regional internationally. Maybe we can think about that. I see other one that is provide gender assessment guidelines and toolkits on how the network members can integrate gender responsive activities within the organization. This is a very good one. And I can give an example right now, and is for those who knows the NDC partnership, they already have a gender strategy and a toolkit for a lot of, let's say, guidelines or capacity building oh my god, toolkit as well, so you can probably go and surf a little bit about what they have there. Also with youth, providing a knowledge sharing platform training, enhance their knowledge. Perfect, very good. I see indigenous people knowledge lacking of some information, so probably if somebody can give us some example of how the network can address this, we will be grateful in that case. So yes, I can see a lot of sticky notes coming in. I like this. What I don't like is the lack of time. So we have 5 minutes. Maybe we can just stop this slide here and let's go to the last one so we can make sure to give to get some feedback from you. So which topics under the theme of youth and capacity building would you like to explore from the African Asian Pacific Regional Climate Weeks? And maybe some of you will say, wait, where is LAC Regional Climate Week coming in? Well, Latin America and the Caribbean Climate Week is already, let's say, in 2 weeks, and what the host country and the organizations have been developed for youth and capacity building is specifically a dialogue on how do you engage youth in capacity building. So that will be the first step there. So I see for African Asian Pacific, themes will be supporting youth project development and fundraising. Very, very, very needed. I can see that, and is very linked with what we need for NDC implementation. Human mobility and immobility in the context of climate change and how it links to youth, gender, social cohesion, etc. interesting. That's a good one. I actually would like to probably on a sticky note explain a little bit more because we don't have time to give the floor. I'm so sorry, but this is a very interesting idea that maybe the secretariat and the team could explore on the organization of those regional climate weeks.
Just sorry to interrupt you real quick, Jennifer.
Yeah, Eva.
The participants from the other meetup spaces will be joining the main plenary shortly. So if we could just move on to the last slide. Again, the Jambors will remain open. So if you have more sticky notes to add, we'll be looking at them later and they will be added on the summary report of the meeting. And of course, we'll be taking the feedback and implementing future activities for the network. But
Perfect. Thank you, Eva. I'm so sorry, guys. We can rush into this. I know the last minutes is always the good ones. So expression of interest for regional climate weeks. This is where we would like to hear from you. If you like to have an event, what will be any active participation on the organization of regional climate weeks in Africa and Asia Pacific. So please do a sticky note over there so we can know that some of you are interested in having events in the regional climate weeks and get in touch and explore some synergies. So there's that. And I can see that maybe, yes, Rodrigo.
Yes, my question was whether this expression of interest is just related to youth and gender and indigenous communities, or whether there is a broader approach.
Yes, very good question, Rodrigo. But I for this stage is only for the gender and youth and indigenous knowledge topics. But because the same question is in the other meetup space, so this is for us to identify synergies between the network and maybe get in touch and put you in touch with all of those who are interested also in doing events with that same topic. And I can see, yeah, I think we're done.
Yeah, again. Sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, everybody. If I actually enjoy a lot this discussion. Jamboard is something that I will literally join from here and now in my conversations with Shom and the team. So we must wrap up the discussion, so everybody's gonna be back here in the platform. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I hope everyone is back. And I would like to thank Jennifer, Crispin, and Mahawan for leading the groups, and welcome back, everyone. So we hope you've had productive discussions in your respective meetup spaces. And if you wish to know what each meetup space was up to, stay tuned for a newsroom article on a summary on the meeting. Today's discussions will foster engagement among members on common areas of interest and activities to lead, participate, or collaborate with other members under the umbrella of the PCCB network. Now, I'm glad to introduce you Mr. Carl McCallinen from the UK Presidency, who will be presenting the Capacity Building Initiative of UK, Catalyst for Climate Action. And the floor is yours, Carl.
Thanks, Roberta. And thanks, Roberta, and good afternoon, everyone. It's been a real pleasure to attend the meeting today. And it's also been really great to hear of the network's accomplishments over the last year, as well as some of the really interesting suggestions that were put forward at today's meetings, and how the network can really adapt and grow, particularly during these very uncertain times. I remember back a year ago, during my closing intervention at the inaugural meeting of the PCCB network last June. I think I spoke at that time about the COP26 presidency's commitment to capacity building and our eagerness really to engage with both parties, but also with stakeholders in this area. And I also spoke at that time about our openness to listen to everyone in capacity building, but particularly to developing countries, and especially those most vulnerable to climate impacts, and really to better understand what the challenges are in relation to the implementation of the Paris Agreement. Last month, we had the Climate and Development Ministerial. I think that was a really important opportunity to discuss the challenges of developing countries, and also the priorities for vulnerable countries. And the UK, as the incoming COP26 presidency, we hope to be able to work with countries, with institutions, civil society, and others to address those issues and to take forward actions on the run-up to COP26. So during our consultations on capacity building, more specifically, we've heard that there are challenges in relation to NDCs, on long-term strategies, national adaptation plans and ACOMs, and also in relation to the implementation of the Enhanced Transparency Framework, as well as accessing climate finance and in participating in carbon markets, for example. We fully acknowledge that there are many great bodies and programs and projects already and individuals working in these areas. And over the last number of months, we've been consulting with the PCCB and the PCCB members, with parties, with partners, really just to identify where we, as the incoming COP presidency, can really add value to this already very busy space. But more specifically, in order to put our efforts into making the biggest impact where we can. So today, I'd just like to give an update on some of our plans, more specifically on the COP26 Catalyst for Climate Action. This is really the incoming COP26 presidency convened framework for engagement on capacity building throughout this year. Just to give a bit of background on what that looks like. So we hope to bring together parties with non-state actors, just to focus on not everything, but a number of important areas, more specifically on mitigation ambition, on adaptation action, access to finance, carbon markets participation, and also transparency in reporting. We hope to be able to provide opportunities for engagement between these key stakeholders, but also constituencies, key constituencies throughout this year. And I think a number of them were mentioned today: gender, youth, Indigenous people. And to engage during the UN Regional Climate Weeks throughout this year over the next couple of months. And the intention is really to better understand the capacity building challenges, specifically in relation to the implementation of the Paris Agreement. We hope that through this framework that we'll be able to share lessons across those thematic areas, but also across some of the regions to strengthen existing networks, some of which were mentioned today, but also to build new networks, which is what we've also heard today as well. And the idea is to improve access to that capacity building support that is available. And I think that's something we've heard through the meeting today. So just to finish, at an event in Glasgow this year, the Catalyst for Climate Action and its partners hope to put forward recommendations, not only on the implementation of the Paris Agreement, but to provide suggestions on how we can use capacity building to enable both enhanced ambition and increased action on combating climate change. So we've been working with the PCCB over the last number of months, and we stand ready to work with the PCCB network members. So please do look out for opportunities to participate in some of the COP26 Catalyst for Climate Action activities, but also feel free to contact us for more information directly. And I think my colleague James will be putting some contact information in the chat as well. So thanks again for giving me some of your time, and congratulations again to the PCCB and to the PCCB network for your really successful first year, and looking forward to even greater success in the second year. So that's all from me. Back to you, Roberta.
Thank you very much, Carl, and thank you for presenting this interesting initiative. And I would like now to close this session by thanking all the network members that made this productive meeting possible. And the strength of the PCCB network lies in its diversity, and that is what will guide the work of the network in the coming months and years. We encourage everyone to stay in touch, to share ideas, to take the initiative, and to provide feedback on their experience with the PCCB network and advance capacity building efforts for climate action, either through post-event survey or via email. I would like also to thank the Secretariat, and particularly Ridi, Alejandro, Victor, and Eva for the perfect organization of this meeting. And before we close the session, I would like to ask you to, in one word, express your impression of the meeting today. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a great week.
There is a Menti code for inputting your that will be put in the chat.
Inspiring seems to be the most voted word of the day. So thank you very much, everyone, and see you soon.